My dear friend, I want you to imagine something so simple and yet so powerful that once you grasp it, you will never again walk in confusion or doubt about where your life is heading. For I tell you, your intuition isn't a random feeling. It is your spiritual GPS. The guidance system placed within you by the infinite to lead you directly to the good that is already yours. And just as you would trust the voice of a navigation system in your car to bring you to your chosen destination, so you can trust the quiet inner voice of spirit to bring you to the fulfillment of your desires. And I want you to feel the truth of this, because once you truly understand it, you will stop treating life as a game of guesswork and start treating it as a guided journey. For in the same way you enter your destination into a GPS and press start, you must set your life's destination by choosing your desire with clarity and affirming it with conviction. For the moment you do this, your spiritual GPS begins calculating the route. It knows the way better than you do. It knows every turn, every shortcut, every road that looks like a detour but is really the fastest path. And yet how many times do people set a goal in their heart and then ignore the very signals that would lead them there? They feel an inner nudge, a prompting to call someone, to take a step, to say yes to an opportunity, but they doubt it. They say, that can't be it. Or what if it doesn't work? And in that moment they do what no wise traveler would do. They ignore their GPS. They drive in the opposite direction, and then they wonder why they feel lost. And I say to you that worry and doubt are like pressing the wrong buttons on your navigation system, and then blaming the map when you end up in the wrong place. But here is the miracle: even when you miss a turn, your spiritual GPS never abandons you. It simply says, recalculating, and offers you the next best route from where you are right now. So you can never truly be off your path unless you choose to stop driving altogether. And the beauty of this truth is that it takes the pressure off. It means you don't have to know every step before you start. You only need to know the destination, for Spirit will reveal the turns as you go. And yes, my friend, this requires the kind of trust that says, I am willing to follow even when I can't see the end from the beginning. Because every great manifestation works this way. First you see it in your mind. You feel it in your heart, you speak it in faith, and then you act on the inner directions that come to you. And you must not delay, for when your GPS says, turn now, hesitation will cause you to miss the moment. And so many people pray for guidance but then ignore the answer because it comes in a form they did not expect, perhaps through a casual conversation, a sudden idea, or an unexpected meeting, and they think it is coincidence. But there are no coincidences in the realm of spirit. There is only guidance. And if you can begin to honor these signals, even in the smallest ways, you will see your life change in ways that seem miraculous, but are in truth the natural result of following your spiritual GPS. And I want you to loop this thought in your mind today. My inner guidance is always leading me to my highest good. Say it often, for the more you affirm it, the more you will feel its truth, and the more you feel it, the easier it will be to follow without second guessing. For the enemy of manifestation is not the lack of opportunity but the habit of self-doubt. And if you can replace that with the habit of immediate trust, you will move faster toward your desire than you ever thought possible, because Spirit wastes no time when you are willing to obey the inner promptings. And let me tell you something else. The path may not always look straight. In fact, it may take you in what seems to be the wrong direction, but trust the route, for the GPS sees the whole map. It knows where the traffic is, where the roads are closed, where bridges are out, and it is guiding you on the best route for you. And if you can accept this, you will no longer resist the twists and turns of life. You will say, I trust that this is part of my perfect route. And in that trust there is peace, and in that peace there is power, and in that power there is manifestation. For you cannot receive when you are tense and fearful, but when you relax into the knowing that you are being led, you open the channel for good to flow. So today I ask you, what destination will you set in your spiritual GPS? Will you dare to choose something that excites you? Something that feels almost too big? Because I assure you that the size of your dream is no obstacle to infinite intelligence. The only obstacle is your willingness to trust the directions. And the moment you say yes, the route begins. So do not wait for perfect timing or perfect conditions, for the perfect time is when you decide. And the perfect condition is the faith that it is already done in the unseen. And as you move forward, keep listening, keep following. And if you make a wrong turn, do not condemn yourself. Simply allow Spirit to recalculate and take the next step it shows you. For your spiritual GPS will never say, you have failed. It will only say, here's the new route. and my dear, is the grace of divine guidance. It is never ending, ever patient, and always available. And the more you follow it, the more you will see that your life is not random, that your dreams are not accidents, that every desire implanted in your heart has a route already mapped, and all that is required of you is to listen, to trust, and to act when prompted. So let us begin now, together, by affirming, I am guided perfectly, I arrive at my good with ease, nothing and no one can keep me from my destination. And as you say it, feel it, see it, know it. For in this moment your journey is already underway, your route is already set, and all of heaven is conspiring to bring you to the place you have chosen. So keep your heart open, your mind clear, and your hands ready to receive, for your spiritual GPS is speaking, and it is saying, your turn is coming up, be ready. And now, as we continue this journey together, I want you to remember that the route to your good is not something you have to invent, it is something you must align with, for the same way a GPS already contains the map before you even set your destination. So the divine already knows the perfect path to the fulfillment of your desire before you even speak it, and when you affirm it, when you declare it as done in spirit, you are not making something happen, you are tuning into the frequency where it already exists, and then the directions begin to flow. And yet so many people feel the stirring of a dream, and then immediately begin to calculate in their limited human understanding how it can happen. They start thinking of the roads they can see, the ones they have traveled before, and they forget that spirit sees roads they have never imagined, connections they have never made, possibilities they have never considered, and this is why you must resist the urge to plan every step. For the GPS does not give you the whole journey at once, it tells you the first turn, and when you take it, the next appears, and so on until you arrive. And you may think, but I want to know the whole plan. And I tell you, my friend, that is like a driver saying, I refuse to start the engine until you show me every street and every sign along the way. But what driver does that? And what blessing is delayed because we insist on seeing the entire map before we move? So today I urge you, let the first step be enough. Trust that the next will come when it is time, for spirit is never late, never early, always precise. And I want you to see this truth looping in your mind. Every delay, every detour, every pause in your journey is recalibration, not rejection. For have you noticed that sometimes the GPS will reroute you to avoid danger ahead, to save you from an accident, to spare you from wasted time? And while you may be impatient in the moment, later you discover that the new route was better, smoother, or led you past something wonderful you would have otherwise missed. And so it is with life. The divine path often takes you past lessons, blessings, and moments of preparation you need before your desire can manifest in full. So when you find yourself in what seems like an unexpected turn, say to yourself, this is part of my perfect route. And mean it, because the more you affirm that your steps are ordered, the more you will see evidence that they are. And here is where trust becomes active. Not just believing in guidance when everything feels smooth, but following it when it takes you somewhere you do not yet understand. For that is the true test of faith. To follow the inner voice, even when your outer circumstances do not yet match the promise you hold in your heart. And if you can do that, you will find that what once felt like uncertainty becomes an adventure, because you know you cannot be lost, you cannot miss what is divinely yours. You cannot fail when you keep moving in alignment with the guidance that never ceases. And I want you to notice how your spiritual GPS speaks. For it is often not in the thunder but in the whisper, not in the earthquake but in the gentle nudge, the thought that keeps returning, the feeling that says, call them, go there, try this, and though it may seem small, it may be the very turn that sets you on a new trajectory toward or desire. So treat every nudge with respect, for spirit does not waste words, and when the infinite says, turn, there is purpose in it, even if you cannot see it yet. And I say to you again, the more you follow the small directions, the more you will be trusted with the larger ones, for obedience in the little leads to fulfillment in the much, and your manifestation will often come disguised as an ordinary step, but when you take it, the next will appear, and soon you will look back and see that every turn, every stop, every acceleration was perfectly timed, perfectly placed, and divinely designed. And as you move through today, I want you to practice this. Instead of asking, how will it happen? Ask, what is my next turn? And then act on the first prompting that comes with peace. For that peace is the voice of your spiritual GPS confirming that you are in alignment. And if fear arises, know that fear is the static that tries to block the signal. So do not tune into fear, for it will give you false directions. Instead, return to the affirmation. I am guided perfectly. Say it until you feel the stillness return. For in stillness you can hear, and in hearing you can follow, and in following you will arrive. And when you arrive, you will realize it was not only about the destination, but the transformation that happened on the way. Because the person you become en route is the one capable of holding and enjoying the good you were seeking. So embrace the route, trust the route, and keep your heart open to the next turn, for your spiritual GPS is still speaking, and your arrival is certain. Because the destination you have chosen is already prepared for you in the mind of God. And as we come to this final stretch of our journey together, I must remind you once more. The spiritual GPS is not just a tool for manifesting the big, shining dreams. It is also your companion for the small, daily steps, the seemingly ordinary choices, the moments when you might think, this doesn't matter. Yet those very moments are the turns that keep you on the road to destiny. And here is the loop I cannot let you forget. When you ignore the small instructions, you delay the larger manifestations, for the GPS is building your path piece by piece. And if you skip a piece, the whole route must adjust, so even the smallest nudge matters, and the connection point is this. Intuition is not dramatic most of the time. It is subtle, it is gentle, it is a whisper beneath the noise, and it asks you to trust without demanding proof, for proof comes after obedience, not before. And so you must learn the art of moving in faith, even when you cannot yet see the full picture, because the picture is being painted as you walk. And here is the secondary hook. The road you take by following your GPS will not look like anyone else's, and that is by design, for the path is customized for you, built for your strengths, your lessons, your preparation, and your perfect timing. And if you compare your journey to another's, you will be tempted to leave your route, but that only leads to detours, so the wise traveler stays in their lane, trusts their signals, and blesses the road of others, knowing we are all being guided in the way that is best for us. And I must loop it back now to the beginning truth. Your GPS is not random, it is a divine system, flawless in design, relentless in its love for you. And if you would only believe that, if you would only stop questioning whether you are worthy to be guided, you would see that the guidance was there all along, waiting for you to lean in and listen. And so here is my call to action, clear and urgent. Today, set your destination with a word of power. Speak it out loud as if it is already yours. Listen for the first turn, and then take it without hesitation. For every great arrival begins with one obedient step, and the sooner you take it, the sooner the rest of the map will be revealed. Until one day you will look back and realize that every mile was guided, every delay was divine, and every turn, even the ones you did not understand, brought you exactly where you were meant to be. And if you think the road ahead must be free of obstacles in order for the GPS to work, let me tell you the deeper truth. The GPS does not promise a road without challenges. It promises a road that gets you to your destination in the perfect way for your growth. And sometimes that includes detours that strengthen your patience, delays that sharpen your discernment, and climbs that build your endurance. And when you begin to see those moments not as punishments but as training, your heart changes, your eyes open, and you realize that nothing has been wasted, not even the wrong turns, because every turn is recalculated into the route. Every pause is accounted for. Every mistake is woven into the story so that it becomes part of the triumph. And here is the loop that matters now. The GPS never shames you for missing a turn. It simply says, recalculating. And then it gives you the next best way forward. And so must you treat yourself the same way, with grace, with gentleness, with the unshakable belief that it's still possible. Because as long as you are breathing, the route is still active. And the connection point is this: the most magnetic people, the ones who seem to attract miracles and opportunities, are not the ones who never miss a turn, but the ones who keep listening after they miss one, who keep moving after a delay, who keep trusting that they are still on course. And you can be one of those people starting now. And here is the secondary hook. The GPS doesn't just know the roads. It knows the timing. It knows the conditions ahead. It knows the traffic you cannot see. And that is why some of your dreams have not come yet. Not because you are failing, but because your arrival is being timed for your safety, your readiness, and your maximum joy. And if you could see the precision behind this timing, you would drop all impatience and move forward in pure gratitude. So here is my call to action to you, spoken with love and urgency. From this moment, make a decision that you will not let fear be your driver, that you will not override your own GPS with doubt, but instead you will give yourself permission to trust every instruction, to take every step, to bless every detour, knowing that each one is part of your custom path to the life you have asked for. And if you do this, you will find yourself arriving at places that once seemed unreachable, living days that once seemed impossible, and feeling a peace that tells you without question, you have been guided all along. And now, I want you to imagine this scene with me, for it will anchor the truth deeper. You are driving on a foggy road at night, and you can only see as far as your headlights reach. But you keep moving forward because you trust that the road continues beyond your sight. You do not stop in panic simply because you cannot see the next mile. You know that if you keep your hands steady and your eyes alert, you will reach your destination. And this is exactly how the spiritual GPS works, for it gives you just enough light to take the next step. And when you take it, the next portion is revealed. And you must train yourself to stop demanding the entire map in advance, because if you could see all the twists, all the hills, all the valleys ahead of time, you might turn back in fear. You might doubt your ability to endure. But the infinite knows your capacity, knows your strength, knows how to guide you through one section at a time. And I must loop back to this truth. You are not required to know every detail to get there. You are only required to listen, to move, and to trust. And here is where many stumble. They confuse delay with denial, thinking the GPS has stopped speaking simply because it has not given them new instructions. But my friend, sometimes the instruction is to hold your position, to stay in your lane until the next move is safe, for moving too soon is as dangerous as moving too late. And your inner guidance knows the timing better than your reasoning mind ever could. So let go of the urge to rush, and anchor yourself in the peace that says, I am exactly where I am meant to be, and when it is time, I will know. And in that surrender, you open the way for the most miraculous alignments. For the divine can arrange things in your absence that you could never force by your presence. And this is why faith feels like rest. Because you release the strain of controlling every turn, and instead, you flow with the one who sees the whole road. And I will say it again for those who need to hear it twice. The road may not be straight, but it is sure, and each curve is purposeful, each detour designed, each delay divine. And the more you trust, the more joy you will find in the journey itself. For even the unexpected moments can become treasures when you stop fighting them. And so I ask you, what would it feel like if you truly believed you could not miss your destination? If you truly believed that every signpost was leading you closer, not farther away? If you truly believed that the gentle nudge within you is the voice of God, speaking just to you? That belief would dissolve your anxiety, silence your overthinking, and fill you with an unshakable calm. And in that calm, you would be able to hear more clearly, respond more quickly, and arrive more surely. For the voice of your spiritual GPS is clearest in stillness, not in the noise of worry. And so I urge you today, before you rush ahead, pause and listen. For you may find that the instruction you need is already in your heart, waiting to be acknowledged. And once you take that step, momentum will carry you forward again. And you will look back one day and realize that the journey was not a test of your worthiness, but a training of your trust. And that the one who called you to this road never left you for a single mile. And now let me draw you even closer into this truth, for it is not just a pretty analogy. It is the very pattern by which your life unfolds. When you set a destination in your heart, whether it is a healed relationship, a thriving business, radiant health, or deep inner peace, you are programming your spiritual GPS, and the moment you lock it in with conviction and faith-filled affirmation, all of life conspires to bring you there. And the turns begin to appear, sometimes as sudden opportunities, sometimes as subtle impressions, sometimes as challenges that stretch you into the person who can receive what you have asked for. And here is where many falter. They want the manifestation, but not the molding. The arrival without the preparation. But my dear one, the journey is as essential as the destination, for without the inner shaping, you could not hold the outer blessing. And so I must loop you back to this. Trust the turns, trust the timing, trust the terrain, for the GPS is leading you along the path that will not only get you there, but get you ready. And this is why shortcuts often cost more than they save, for when you try to bypass the road laid out for you, you may arrive faster in body but slower in spirit, unprepared to stand in the fullness of your good. And I want you to connect this to your own story. Think of a time when you wanted something sooner, only to realize later that the wait had given you the wisdom, the strength, or the resources you needed to enjoy it fully. That was the unseen work of your spiritual GPS, quietly aligning every detail. And I tell you this, even detours are divine when you are following inner guidance, For what looks like a delay may be saving you from an unseen hazard. What feels like a pause may be timing you to meet the right person at the right place. What seems like a setback may be steering you toward a better outcome than you imagined. And here comes the secondary hook. The GPS is not just giving directions, it is in constant conversation with the road ahead, receiving real-time updates from the field of infinite intelligence, adjusting your route as conditions shift, ensuring your safe and certain arrival. And this is why I say, stop fearing change, stop resisting redirection, for the reroute is not rejection, it is protection, it is perfection, it is providence in motion, and the sooner you embrace it, the smoother your journey becomes. And when doubt tries to creep in, and it will, you can quiet it with this declaration: I am guided, I am guarded, I am going the right way. And every time you speak it, your inner receiver clears, the static fades, and the next instruction comes into focus. And in this way, your faith becomes the strongest signal booster you have, keeping you tuned to the frequency of your divine guidance. And I cannot tell you enough. The GPS will not give up on you. It will not shut off because you made a wrong turn. It will simply say, recalculating, and then show you the fastest way from where you are now to where you belong. And this is your call to action today. Decide on your destination. Speak it with faith, and then commit to taking the very next step that comes into your awareness, without arguing, without delaying, without demanding to know the entire route. And as you do, watch how the way opens. Watch how the signs appear. Watch how the journey becomes not a test you must pass, but an adventure you get to live. For this is the nature of divine navigation. It is not just about arriving, it is about becoming the person who belongs at the place you are going. And once you see it this way, you will never again fear the road ahead. And I must tell you again, for it is worth repeating until it settles deep in your heart. Your spiritual GPS does not lose track of you. No matter how far you feel you have drifted, no matter how many wrong turns you think you have taken, no matter how many times you have paused or stalled. For at the very moment you turn your attention back to your goal with faith, it recalculates instantly, finding the fastest way from here, not from where you think you should be. And this is why you must not waste energy in regret, for regret is like looking out the back window while you are meant to be driving forward. It keeps you from seeing the signs ahead, and the GPS cannot get you moving if you refuse to look at the road before you. And here is the connection point. There is no punishment in divine navigation. There is only redirection, and every path you have walked, even the ones that felt barren or broken, can be woven back into the route to your destination, for spirit wastes nothing. And every lesson you have gathered becomes fuel for the next leg of the journey. And I loop this truth again so you will not forget: the GPS knows shortcuts you cannot see. It knows the side streets that will bypass your fear. It knows the scenic routes that will build your joy. And it knows the detours that will protect you from trouble you never even knew was there. And so the call to action becomes simple and urgent. Choose your destination today. Set it with the words of your mouth and the faith of your heart, and then refuse to be swayed by appearances, for the road may twist, the weather may shift, the terrain may rise and fall, but the one who guides you sees the whole map, and as long as you keep saying yes to the next turn, you will arrive. Not a moment too soon and never a moment too late. And when you do, you will stand in that place and know that every mile, every step, every whisper along the way was perfect. And you will bless the road for having made you ready. And if you still wonder whether you can trust this unseen guidance, I want you to remember things. The same infinite intelligence that spun the galaxies and set the oceans in motion is the one directing your steps. So why would you fear that it cannot handle the details of your life? The truth is, the GPS does not just know the way. It is the way, and every whisper, every nudge, every moment of inner knowing is like a sacred breadcrumb, leading you home to the life you were meant to live. And if you could see the map from above, you would marvel at how perfectly each turn, each delay, and each sudden change fits into the grand design. But since you cannot, faith must be your eyes, and gratitude your steering wheel. And here is where the loop returns. The more you thank the GPS for the guidance you already have, the more clearly you will hear the next instruction. For gratitude clears the channel, wiping away the static of fear and doubt, and making you a willing, joyful traveler. And this is no small thing, for your emotional state is like your signal strength. Joy and trust boost it, fear and frustration weaken it. So choose every day to align with trust, to speak words of expectation, to release the tight grip of control. and you will notice that the road seems to open before you, smoother, easier, almost as if life is conspiring to usher you forward. And in truth, it is, for the moment you set your intention and trust the GPS, the entire universe begins to arrange itself to fulfill that command. And so I say to you, do not despise the day of small beginnings, for even the smallest step in the right direction is still movement toward your destination, and the GPS will celebrate it by showing you the next turn, and the next, until one day you arrive and realize that the journey was never just about where you were going. It was about who you became on the way. And now, beloved, I must tell you something that will free if you let it sink deeply into your heart. There is no such thing as off the path when you are tuned to your spiritual GPS, for even when you think you have gone astray, the infinite is recalculating, recalibrating, redirecting you, and in the divine plan, nothing is wasted, no step is meaningless. No moment is beyond redemption, for Spirit is the master navigator and knows how to turn every seeming wrong turn into a right one. And so I say to you, stop fearing mistakes, stop fearing detours, for you cannot miss what is yours when you keep moving in faith. And here is the truth I want you to loop in your minding. Your part is not to know every road, but to trust the voice that does. And when you remember this, peace will settle over you like sunlight warming your skin. And you will stop demanding to see 100 miles ahead before taking a single step. You will stop questioning the gentle nudge simply because it seems too simple. You will stop comparing your route to another's, for the GPS of your spirit is set to your exact coordinates, your exact calling. And no one else's path will match yours turn for turn. And I see so many missing their peace because they are looking at someone else's journey and thinking, they are farther ahead, I must be lost. But I tell you, their route is theirs and yours is yours. And the only way to get truly lost is to leave your own guidance to follow theirs. And here's where the secondary hook comes in. Imagine driving two cars side by side, each with a different GPS destination. If you keep copying their turns instead of listening to your own device, you'll both end up in the wrong place. So stop chasing someone else's directions and trust your own, for your inner guidance was built for your dream, your road, your divine timing. And when you start trusting it without condition, without hesitation, you will feel a new freedom, a deep assurance that every delay is a setup, every closed door a redirection, every pause a preparation. And I want you to think of those times in your life when something didn't work out the way you wanted, only to later see it was the best thing that could have happened. That was the recalculation, that your spiritual GPS protecting you from what you could not yet see. And if it did it for you then, it will do it for you now. So let's loop this truth until it's unshakable. I am always on my way to my good. I cannot miss my destiny. My steps are ordered and my path is perfect. And when doubt tries to whisper otherwise, I will speak louder. I will declare the truth over my own life until it is louder than the noise of fear. And in that moment I will hear again the clear inner voice saying, a turn here, wait here, go now. And I will obey without second guessing, for obedience to the divine direction is the shortest route to manifestation. And I must tell you this, your spiritual GPS will not argue with you, it will not force you, it will simply wait for you to listen again. And this is where many delay their blessing, because they stop moving when they make a wrong turn instead of letting spirit reroute them. But the instant you return to listening, the next instruction comes, and you are moving forward again. And this is the beauty of grace. The map is never erased, it is always available, no matter how many turns you've taken. And I want you to let that sink in, because it means you are never too late, never too far gone, never disqualified from the good that is yours. And perhaps the most beautiful part is this: often, the scenery along the way is part of the blessing, the people you meet, the lessons you learn, the strength you gain, all of it is part of the gift. So do not despise the journey in your eagerness to arrive, for Spirit loves the process as much as the outcome, and the process is shaping you into someone who can hold the blessing without losing it. So today, choose to follow one clear instruction from your heart, no matter how small, and watch how it leads to the next, for the road of faith is built one obedient step at a time, and the promise is sure. If you keep following, you will arrive, because the one who guides you has never lost a traveler yet, and you are no exception. And perhaps you wonder why we keep circling back to the same truths, why I repeat the idea of trust, of listening, of following the quiet inner voice. And I tell you now, because the world will try to drown that voice out every single day, because distractions are like static in the signal. And if you do not keep tuning your heart to the frequency of your spiritual GPS, you will begin to think the signal is gone when in fact it is simply faint beneath the noise. So I repeat, and I loop, and I circle back, until you no longer have to remind yourself to listen, because listening has become the natural state of your soul. And this is where the deeper connection is revealed. The GPS, your divine inner guidance, is not just a voice telling you where to go. It is the living presence of the infinite mind moving through you, the intelligence that designed every road and every turn, the same intelligence that keeps the stars in place, that knows the path of the rivers, that whispers to the flowers when it is time to bloom, and that same intelligence lives in you, guiding you step by step toward your fulfillment. And when you resist, it waits, and when you delay, it waits, and when you give up, it still waits, because it cannot abandon you, for you are part of it, inseparable from it. And when you finally turn inward and say, I am ready to be led, the entire system comes alive, recalculates from exactly where you are, and begins giving you your next instruction. And here is the secondary hook you must not miss. No matter how lost you think you are never more than one turn away from being back on course, one choice, one decision, one act of obedience away from the path that leads to your destination. And that is why you must not despair. For despair is like turning the GPS off entirely. It shuts down the flow of guidance. It leaves you wandering without a signal. And yet, even then, the moment you turn it back on with faith and intention, it resumes as if you had never left. And the loop here is simple yet profound. Your role is not to control the map. Your role is to keep the receiver clear, to stay in a state of readiness, to move when you are told to move, to pause when you are told to pause, and to trust that every instruction matters. And the connection point is these. Sometimes the GPS will lead you through unfamiliar neighborhoods, through roads that look narrow, through landscapes that seem barren, and you will be tempted to think you are off course. But it is precisely those roads that are taking you to the exact place you asked for. For your guidance knows not only the quickest route, but the route that will shape you into the person who can live in your destination with joy, strength, and wisdom. And this is why I urge you now, as my call to action. Take your hands off the wheel of control and place them instead on the wheel of trust. Let the GPS do its work. Let the infinite mind navigate your days. Speak your destination clearly each morning with gratitude, as if it is already here. Listen for the first turn, and then take it without hesitation, knowing that with each obedient step, with each faithful mile, with each blessed detour, you are moving inevitably toward the life you were born to live. And when you arrive, you will look back and bless the road, the turns, the timing, and the voice that never once stopped guiding you, even when you thought you had gone too far to be found. And now I want to take you even deeper into the mystery and the mastery of following your spiritual GPS. For this is not just a matter of reaching one goal, one dream, or one desire. It is about building a lifelong relationship with the inner guidance that will serve you in all seasons, in all situations, in every chapter of your story. And I must say this plainly, you were never meant to wander without direction. You were never meant to stumble in confusion, or live in the fog of indecision. For within you there has always been a compass, a clear voice, a gentle but firm guide, tuned to the frequency of divine intelligence. And the moment you choose to listen to it above all other noise, life begins to change. And here is the loop I must bring back to you. The GPS only works when you set a destination, for if you do not choose, it cannot guide. And many souls remain in circles not because they are incapable, but because they have not declared where they are going, and so their lives reflect that wandering. But you, dear one, can break this pattern today by speaking your goal into life. And I want you to feel the connection point now. This is not about setting a goal the way the world does, with mere willpower or anxious striving. This is about aligning your desire with divine law, speaking it as if it is already done, and trusting that the GPS has already calculated the path. And once that is set, you must do the next great work. Keep the signal clear, for fear is static, doubt is static, gossip, comparison, and self-criticism are all static. And if you live in static, you will miss the subtle cues that could have carried you forward with ease. And so your daily practice becomes these: quiet the mind, open the heart, and listen. Listen without rushing. Listen without arguing. Listen without demanding the entire map at once, for the GPS will give you the next turn, and only the next turn, and that is all you need to move. And I must loop this again. The road to your dream is not a straight line. It is a living, breathing, adapting path. And just as a GPS recalculates when you miss a turn, your divine guidance will adjust for every delay, every change, every seeming setback. And here is the secondary hook. The more you trust the routes, the faster you arrive, for resistance is like driving with the brakes on. But surrender is like releasing them and letting momentum carry you forward. And the moment you stop doubting, stop wrestling, and start moving with trust, you will find that what once felt far suddenly feels near, and what once felt impossible suddenly feels inevitable. And I want you to remember this image. You are not walking alone. You are in a car with a trusted driver who knows every street, every light, every condition ahead. And all you must do is sit in peace, follow the cues, and enjoy the ride. For when you do, you will notice beauty along the way, connections you would have missed, skills you never thought you'd learn, and opportunities that only appear because you took the route you were given. And so the call to action today is not merely to set your destination, but to commit to trusting it no matter what the road looks like, for the GPS never abandons you, never punishes you, never loses you. It always finds you where you are, and from there, it can lead you anywhere you are willing to go. And the only question that remains is this: will you trust it enough to take the next turn? If so, speak it now, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. And watch how the next direction is already waiting for you to follow. And so I remind you again, because reminders are not weakness, they are anchors. The GPS of your spirit does not depend on you being perfect. It depends only on you being willing, and willingness is a quiet but mighty power. For the moment you say, I am willing to be guided, you open the door for answers you could not have imagined, for resources you did not know existed, for connections that seem to appear by divine appointment. And when these moments arrive, recognize them as the turns on your route, the intersections where you must choose trust over fear. And the looping truth here is that each time you choose trust, you strengthen the signal. And each time you strengthen the signal, you hear more clearly. And each time you hear more clearly, you move more confidently. And each time you move more confidently, you arrive more swiftly. And the connection point is that your life is not a random series of events. It is a coordinated journey toward the exact vision your soul agreed to before it even arrived on this earth. And the GPS is your constant link to that agreement. The invisible cord between your present self and your fulfilled self. And the secondary hook is this: there is no expiration date on your destination. No too late stamped on your dream, for the GPS holds your coordinates eternally, recalculating until you choose to align. So let this be your call to action. Listen today, act today, and bless today. For every day you align, you shorten the distance between where you stand and where you are meant to be. And when you finally stand there, in that place of answered prayer, you will know that every step, every detour, every recalculation was sacred, and you will bless it all.